Hello everyone and welcome to our June 2024 update. We haven't had one of these for a while, so thank you for joining us today, and we plan to do more of these across 2024. Before we jump in, some housekeeping. If you have any questions during the presentation, please drop them in the question box as outlined in the short video you have just seen, and we will endeavour to answer them on air if possible. We will also follow up with an email response. If you've been to our sessions previously, you will know we try to make our webinars as audience interactive as possible. So there'll be no surprise to see we've included some polls to gain some insight into how your business runs and to make sure you're awake and paying attention. If you miss any of the presentation for any reason, don't fret, as a recording of the webinar will be made available in the following days. So just look out for it via email. For those that don't know me, I'm Peter Mellor, and I've been involved with Super Concepts, or one of its formative companies, Cavendish Superannuation, for over 15 years. I was previously a customer success specialist, but I'm now moving into the role of manager, partnerships and growth. It is my first time hosting one of these, so please go easy on me. Today we'll be joined by the Chief Technology Officer, Andy Forbes, and following him will be our Product Design Manager, Reese Hopper. As you may be aware, the latest version of our software recently celebrated 2 years in the market. We are continuing to build and improve SuperMate, so the past year has gone by incredibly quickly, and we have a lot to show you. Andy Forbes will update us on the changes that have occurred within Super Concepts over the past 12 months, as well as what will be included in the upcoming compliance release. Reese Hopper will provide a demonstration on a few of the recent improvements to SuperMate.
Thanks, Peter. I'll just share my screen. Alrighty, thanks everyone for joining us today. Almost 12 months ago, a new management team was formed to take Super Concepts into private ownership. As AMP noted at the time of the sale, the business was being handed to the more rightful owners, an experienced team of industry veterans led by Matthew Rowe. We've been a little quiet on the socials as we've been focusing on adding even more value into our great platform SuperMate, and also setting the foundation to accelerate our growth journey. It's an exciting time for us and for all our clients, both current and future. Our mission is to simplify SMSF so that more Australians can be in control of their super. To achieve this, we're combining the best technology, design, AI and automation to give you the very best software we can, SuperMate. Stepping back a little, for those looking to learn or evaluate our software, why SuperMate? SuperMate is enterprise-grade SMSF software for administrators looking to maximize their efficiency. It is simple to... Okay, so why SuperMate? SuperMate is enterprise-grade SMSF software for administrators looking to maximize their efficiency. It is simple to learn, yet powerful. We don't want to compromise on the sophisticated features that experienced professionals need. It's designed by SMSF accountants for SMSF accountants. This means clever process design for maximum efficiency. Less clicks point to point, and automation features like Data Hero for AI document data extraction, transaction rules, data feeds, transaction suggestion engine, automated global corporate actions, contract note email service, and annual tax statement estimation and PDF extraction options. Also, enterprise features like workflow, data audit wizards, advisor and client view, powerful letter templates and branding options, advanced user access security, and a full-featured read and write API for unlimited integration potential. In addition to these features, you can rest easy knowing that we take information security very seriously. To ensure that this isn't just talk, we're externally audited every year for ISO 27001 and SOC 2 Type 2 compliance. We're also an annually certified digital service provider with the ATO. So that's the high-level overview of SuperMate. Today's webinar is an update, so if you are interested in an overview of everything SuperMate can do for you, please reach out. We'd love to show you more. But now, before I hand back to Peter and then Reese for a demo, a couple of quick points on the upcoming compliance release. Our annual SuperMate compliance release is scheduled for Sunday, the 30th of June, containing all the usual updates, 2025 rates and thresholds, 2024 tax returns and schedules, and the 2025 activity statement updates. Now, there is a new schedule this year that you need to be aware of, the Trust Income Schedule. That is a new mandatory schedule for every fund that receives a trust distribution. Funds need to report the breakdown of distributed amount for every trust that they've invested in this schedule. But don't worry, SuperMate will do the heavy lifting for you. Okay, that's it from me. Back to you, Peter, for the second poll.
Thanks, Peter. As Peter mentioned, I'm going to do a demo on the new SuperMate. I'll be covering off some fast processing improvements we've introduced in the last 6 months, ASF Audit Integration, client view, and the new bank verification feature we have. Okay, let me just bring up SuperMate now. Okay, so this is the reconciliation screen. It's probably one of the most used, most popular screens that's in SuperMate, and generally where most people do their work. Some of the things that we have added in the last 6 months, based on a bit of feedback, is the we've added the 2 prior financial years in. So a bit of feedback we receive is, hey, I want to be able to quickly navigate to closed financial years to see how things were processed last year. So see what's happened last year. So on the bank reconciliation transactions tab, other financial year choosers, we've added the prior year financial to easily navigate to it. I'm going to go all open years because as part of this demo, I want to be showing off, reconciling a fund, including 23 and 24 financial year. Okay. So first thing I'm going to show off is the ability to process a business transaction when you've already have multiple business transactions processed and a cash transaction. So if I filter ComSec, you can see I have a 12.5 grand withdrawal. I've got some purchases and sales already processed. If I tick them, you can see that there's still a slight difference there. Of almost 10 grand. And in the past, what you have to do is go into the transactions tab, process a transaction, come back and reconcile it. But with this split functionality, you can actually open up the cash transaction. I've already selected these business side transactions, but it'll show non-cash transactions. So you can select as many as you want. And then process the last one. So I know this is a Bank of Queensland purchase of 1850 shares. I select save, processes the purchase. I've got $0 remaining. I can now reconcile all those transactions together. So you can see there, it's sped up the process significantly because we're not navigating between tabs. We're not having to come back and manually reconcile or select multiple. What you also might notice is we do have a couple of Bank of Queensland dividends here. They are processed by corporate actions. Now that I've processed that Bank of Queensland purchase, it'll update the units. SuperMate's going to automatically reprocess that revenue corporate action, and it's going to reconcile those transactions for me. The other item I wanted to show off is the ability to process transactions from the reconciliation screen. So in the past, we've only let transactions be processed in the transaction tab or non-cash transactions, and we've decided to bring that option into this screen. And that's just so we don't have this similar issue what I discussed before, where you navigate to the transactions tab, process transaction, come back, reconcile. So we've automated a lot of that. For example, I've got this accounting fee. The expense has been accrued because the payment failed. So I can just go choose the sundry creditors account. quickly process the transaction. And what the system is going to do is it's going to post that transaction and then it's going to automatically reconcile it. And you may have noticed then when the automatic reconciliation happened, it also cleared the Bank of Queensland ones. So it's refreshed the screen. So all those corporate actions got processed, got shown as reconciled too. The other bit of feedback we get is when you are working in this screen, you can get to a point where you've reconciled as many non-cash transactions as you can, and you just want to focus on cash transactions. So you can see here, I've got a Westpac dividend. It's due to be paid 25th of June. It's not 25th of June yet, so I'm not going to worry about trying to reconcile that one or see why it's not there. Why the cash isn't there. So I just want to focus on the cash. So what I'll do is I'll select this expanding, and it goes into this fast processing mode where I can just focus on the bank transactions. I see the description a lot easier because it's spread out. The bank gets its own column. Payments and receipts get separated into their own columns too, so you can focus on it. And then if I was processing, I can just quickly jump in, process, say, a deposit to interest. One thing I will point out that we've also done is when you are processing interest to a bank account, to a chart, it will automatically pick up the bank account based on the bank account that the deposit was put into. So that's quite handy. I didn't have to select which bank account that was. And it's also, it's a function that we've shown off in previous webinars where it's identified 19 other transactions. It's going to process all those 19 transactions at the same time. And then since I haven't told them that none of those transactions were interest, it's going to create a transaction rule for me, easily speeding up my processing. And the last item I'm going to show off today in relation to fast processing is the pension payments. So if I allocate this transaction to a pension payment, we do have the pro rata payment. So it will pro rata that $8,000 based on the periodic net. So how much you say each member is going to take. So if you have multiple pension accounts within the fund, it's just going to automatically pro rata it for you. I'm going to clear it this time, just to show off something else we've done in this screen. So if I allocate the whole 8,000 to Jeff's pension account and I select save, it's going to come back to me and say, on this date, there's only $3,000 available to be paid out. And in the past, what you'd have to do is you'd process the $3,000 as a pension payment, allocate the rest to other people. So I'll just go 12 and then 4, 9, 2, 8. So I got 8,000 there. Yeah, in the past, you have to process this transaction and then go to the members screen, close the pension account. But in this time, I'm just going to select save, and it's going to say, hey, you're exhausting Jeff's pension. We're going to close it for you. So SuperMate automatically closes that pension account for you. Now, there's a lot of fast processing that we have introduced in the last 6 months, and in further webinars, I'm going to go through some of those items. But for now, I'm going to move on to the ASF integration that we've set up. Just going to navigate to a fund that's ready to be sent to audit. In our integrations provider section, this is a section where we're going to start building up and including all the different integrations that we do supply. In this one, you can see that we have the ASF integration. On the card itself, you can learn more about ASF. We do have the instruction, so it does go through that to use the integration service, you do need to already be a client of ASF. Once you turn this on, you will need to tell ASF what your SuperMate code is, and also you need to make it available. So you can see mine, it's already turned on. For your site, if it's not turned on, then you turn it on. SuperMate will automatically add ASF as an auditor to your site as an identity. However, if you already do use ASF and the identity is already set up in your site, we won't create duplicate identities. We'll search for that identity that has the SMSF auditor number. And if we have a match, we'll just, we won't duplicate the auditor identity. Okay, so I'm going to navigate now to the end of year section. This fund here, we've already locked off the period. We've checked the annual return, made sure it's correct. We're up to the audit and signing section. I've produced the reports for the end of year. So I've produced the audit report, the final, and ran a final close, a different set of reports for the client and review. And you can see here, since I have the ASF integration enabled, I simply just get a button that says send to auditor. And when I select send to auditor, it will automatically notify ASF that this fund's ready to be audited. ASF hasn't fully built out the grabbing all of the data yet. I know it's something that they are working on, but we have provided them full access to our API, so they could have the ability just to grab financials, data, any data from SuperMate if they wanted. So once you do select send to audit, the status will update to ready for audit. Once ASF has picked up the fund in their portal, it will switch to at audit. And then your fund will be sitting at audit. So you can come in here and you can go to the end of year tracking screen, and you can see that the audit is sitting there at audit status. I'll just navigate to another fund that I have that's a bit further along the line. And this one here. So this one here, it does have an audit status of audit waiting, which pretty much means that ASF has raised some audit queries. All you need to do is log into ASF's portal and respond to the queries. Once the queries do get responded to, ASF in their portal will update whether the audit was qualified or if it was unqualified, whether it's Part A, Part B, whether Part B is rectified, audit completion date will be entered. So I've manually put all those details in, but if this was a real fund and it was audited by ASF, they can send all that data back through into SuperMate. It'll be sent through automatically. And also, once they've issued the audit report and the management letter, that automatically gets stored in this screen and also into your DMS, so into the document section of SuperMate. So that's quite handy. There's a lot of automation that we've built between ASF and SuperMate. The next item I was going to show off is client view. One thing I will point out, and you've probably noticed it if you use SuperMate, is the client view button. And it's a part of client view that is quite handy, where if I was looking at a fund, or if a client calls up and says, hey, I'm looking at client view, I don't know what's happening, you can actually jump into the fund, select client view, and then once you select client view, you can actually see what the client sees. So you can see here, I'm looking at the fund overview. You can also, it does have, it is built for the client. So it doesn't have as much accounting detail in it. So if you do want to use this for your meetings, for any client meetings where you're face to face and you want to show off some SuperMate and some of the information within it, like some people were mentioning in that poll, some of the contribution caps or pension minimums, you can easily just show them this view. For the people who've been to our previous webinars, they're quite obviously aware that it was built for mobile view. So it actually does look, it's actually designed to look good. So trustee or an advisor, he's out on the road or they're away from their desk, or if you're like my dad, you want to use the iPad. It's designed to look good in that aspect. Since our last client view webinar, things that we've added is the asset allocation card. So in SuperMate, you can enter the investment strategy. SuperMate can track the super fund's investment strategy against the asset that it currently holds. And now in client view, clients can log in. They can see the different what the fund currently holds and the range. I'm just going to drop out of mobile phone view. Other items we've added, fund details. So quite often clients calling up, hey, what's my super fund's ABN? What's my super fund's ESA? What's my latest trustee date? So we've put fund details in so clients can self-serve, reduce the number of phone calls that accounts are receiving. We've added a forms page, which is quite a handy page where across all your funds, so across your site, you can add newsletters, fact sheets, forms. You can see in my screen I've added in the May newsletter where it talks about upcoming lodgement requirements, budget updates. I've added a fact sheet in about the upcoming $3 million changes and how that's going to impact people. But I've also added forms in. So you put forms in. If you do require forms to be filled out by clients to get pensions started, lump sums, like contribution advice forms, you can put these forms into client view. Clients can download them, complete the form, and then pass it back. And I'll get into the passing back of forms a bit later on. We've included documents. So in SuperMate, when you store documents against a fund, you can choose whether those documents are available to be viewed by the client. So you can store heaps of documents into SuperMate, and then some of them you go, okay, well, I'm going to include this one. I'm not going to include this one. So you can see here, I've included a lump sum application form that's been signed and the last 2 financial year signed financials. So the client can come in and they can download it. Other times I've seen it used is when an accounting firm is the mail house. You scan the bank statement, get Data Hero to extract the transactions. Dividend statements, you store it all in here, and then the client can, if they want the bank statement themselves, they can jump into client view and they can download the documents themselves. We've included the ability for trustees or advisors to be able to download their own reports, generate their own reports. I've noticed a reduction in queries where people go, hey, how many franking credits do I have for the 24 financial year? Clients can jump in here, generate their own tax reconciliation and see how much franking credits accrued or how much tax is payable for the year. Similarly, they can produce the investment summary. We've also added the ability for advisors to have access to client view. So if you do have a relationship with an advisor and they do look after multiple funds, you can add the advisor as a relationship type on a fund across multiple funds, and then add that single advisor to client view, and then they can jump in and they can switch between funds. The query functionality that I'm about to show off, you can use that through client view with advisors, and then they can see all the client queries that relate to all the funds that they look after for you. So that's quite a handy feature. The last item with client view that I was going to show off is the query section. The client view is simple. We made it simple just because we find that clients do like to accountants appreciate more detail in relation to queries about who created them, who they're with, what's outstanding. From a client point of view, they have an outstanding section, so these queries are with you, or history, and history is, queries that they've raised that's been answered, or queries that you've raised and they've answered. So clients can raise their own queries. You can see here if I select raise query, if I was a client, I'd be able to just ask a question, say, hey, where's my 23 tax return? How much can I contribute? So they can ask questions to the accountant, or they could use this to send information. So before, when I was talking about forms and being able to produce forms, fill them out, then upload them, this is where they would upload. So they'd fill out the form, save it down on the computer, and then upload it here. With queries themselves, we do suggest one item per query for multiple reasons. You can see here for this query, I've asked for bank statements. Jeff's provided a document. I've gone, hey, this is blank. Can you provide the actual document? And then Jeff's provided the bank statements. And you can see here it is a bit of a conversation format. And this is one of the reasons why we recommend one item per query, because back when I was processing funds, what I'd find is I would raise an email with 10 queries. And sometimes I'd have clients that would just email me back random documents that they've already supplied. And I'd go, hey, you've already supplied me these documents. Can you supply the documents that are in the query? And then they come back and supply the documents eventually. Also, in circumstances where you do send 10 queries and you get 10 documents back, when you do receive that email, you do then have to go, okay, well, I've got 10 attachments here. Which query were these relating to? Whereas if you have one item per query, it's easier for you to go, okay, well, they've provided this document. Does it answer the query? Yes, no. Move on. Also, I've had clients where I've sent them an email with 10 queries. They've answered 5 of them and said, what's outstanding? Whereas if you use this query system, one item per query, what you'll actually find is that they'll answer those 5 queries, and then there'll be 5 outstanding. And they'll go, okay, well, I still have to answer those 5. We found this has been quite successful for training those troublesome clients that can be a bit harder to get information out of, or provide information in the way that you want it to be provided. Now I'll navigate to SuperMate, the accounting view, pretty quickly, and just show you what the query screen looks like from the accountant point of view. So the query screen is here. Accounting view, you can tell it's a bit different. You've got more statuses. you can check. You can check to see which financial years it relates to, and so you can see ones where they're with you. So at the start of the day, you can jump in. You can see if you have any notifications. You can see if you have any unread messages. Then you can jump in, respond to all the ones where, or review all the responses from that are with you. And then you'll have a with client section. So then if you have a whole heap of queries with a client and they haven't responded for a while, you can call up and say, hey, I've got this, and you've got a neat list of queries that you can go through. You may have also noticed we have a draft section. And this gives you the ability to draft up all your queries, not send them all at once to a client. So if you are processing a fund and you think, okay, I'm going to be processing this fund, and then you get interrupted and you don't get back to it to the next day, it does give you the ability to just put those queries on hold for when you're ready to release all the queries at once, because we all know that trustees hate it when you pepper them with different queries as you go. Which reminds me, the other thing we do with query notification to the client is at the end of the day, we send an email to the client to tell them that there are queries. So if I raise a query for this future fund now, and then an hour later, I raise another query, they don't get 2 emails, because clients find that annoying when they get multiple emails during the day. What we do is we accrue them up, and then we send them an email at the end of the day, say, hey, you've got 5 queries. Click this link. It'll take them to SuperMate where they can see the queries and then answer the queries. So you've got this raise queries button in any screen. So, if you are processing or if you're reviewing the fund, it doesn't matter what screen it is. If you come across something that you can possibly ask a client, you can select this raise queries. You get the query screen. We also have the ability to raise queries on transactions. So this $5,000 withdrawal, not 100% sure what it is. Select raise transaction query. We do provide like a default, hey, please provide information, but you can override it. So I can say, based on the description, if this is a pension payment, please confirm. Spells checks for you. So then, you can send it off, or as I mentioned before, you can just save it as a draft, and then you have a draft query there. So that's basically queries for you. I should probably just mention that with queries, you can also look at the queries from a site level. So you don't have to jump into each fund to see what queries are outstanding. You can look at all the queries, see and focus on queries that are with you across the site. Now, the last item that I'm going to chat about today is the bank verification that we've introduced. So you've probably seen this menu item is available. If you jump into bank verification now, you probably have a different warning here, which will say, bank verification is not turned on. Please contact support if you want to use this feature. This feature is not mandatory, but it is one of the helpful features, especially for our enterprise clients, where they have multiple staff members, and they just want to ensure, or they want to reduce the risk of fraud in their business. And what I'm talking about here in this bank account verification is that if you do turn this feature on, only verified bank accounts can be used for the annual return, or SuperStream messages that have the bank account. So when I talk about SuperStream messages, I'm not talking about release authorities. I'm not talking about rollouts because all those SuperStream messages do not include the super fund's bank account, because you're rolling the money out. You're not supplying the super fund's bank account. You're not release authority. You're paying cash out. You're not supplying another entity the super fund's bank account. Where this validation comes in is when you do receive a roll-in request, or the fund is requesting money to be rolled in. And there's a message that goes, okay, yeah, this is the member, we do want the cash, here's the bank account to transfer the money to, and you do send it to another SMSF or a retail fund. That message does contain the super fund's bank account, and if bank account verification is turned on, it will say, hey, look, we've made it so you have to verify the bank account, so people aren't putting their own personal bank account details in and then getting money transferred into their account, and then the super fund, missing a $500,000 roll-in. Also, with annual returns, if it is turned on, only verified bank accounts can be selected here. So if I select unverified bank account, I get an error. Change that back to a verified bank account. They're the only ones that can be added to an annual return. If you have an unverified bank account when you go to close the period, you won't actually be able to close the period, and you'll get an error saying, hey, you've got an unverified bank account here. Also, when you are lodging, so we're stopping the ability for people to put their own personal bank account against annual returns, so they can start receiving tax refunds. All right, back to the verification screen. For bank accounts that are verified, if you are suspicious that fraud has occurred, that the bank account details, someone has put their personal bank account details in for a fund, you can select view details. It includes the BSB account number, who updated it. So I was the one that put the bank account details in, and then Simon's verified it. So with this verification process, I will point out that you only can verify bank accounts that you did not put the data in. So it requires two sets of two people to get the bank account in and then verified. So if fraud was to be committed, you'd have to have collusion of two people. Obviously, it's tracked, but we're reducing that amount of risk of fraud because you'll need two people to get involved in the process. You can see here for the Pollock Super Fund, I was the one that actually updated this bank account detail, put the bank account details in. So therefore, I can't view the details. I can't verify that it was correct. For the Beagle portfolio, Simon was the one that put the bank account details in. If I select view details, I can see the BSB account number, who did it, when it was put in, and then I can just go, okay, I can pull up a bank statement on a separate screen, check, make sure that this is accurate. So Simon's not putting his own bank account detail in, but putting his own personal bank account in, and then I can just select verify, and then I've verified, and then I can use that account for annual returns and SuperStream. Also, if someone has updated a account that was previously verified, you can see what it was previously, what it was, and what the new details are. So I can go in here and I can go, okay, well, Simon's changed that last digit of the account number. I originally verified this back in February. Simon's updated it last month. So I can go so the account has to be re-verified before it can be used. And I can also check to see, hang on, like, why is this changed? You know, if there's a significant difference, I'd be checking and just go, okay, well, who verified it previously? Is that correct, or is the new details? And it just helps me track down and do a bit of an audit on what actually has happened. When I talk about bank accounts being changed and then becoming unverified, it's only in relation to BSB and account number. So if I jump in here and let's pretend this one's verified, and I change any of these bottom three options or the nickname. So say if an account goes, hey, this is a verified bank account, but I want to update the nickname to change when it shows up on the reports and the financials. Changing the nickname is not going to unverify the bank account because the BSB and E account number is still correct. If I say this is no longer the default bank account, or if for some reason I change it to no and then I change it back to yes for EFT payments and tax refunds, since it was already verified, it's not going to become unverified. It's only if you change significant details that could be used for fraud. So that is bank verification. As a recap, what I went through today was just some fast reconciling processing that we've introduced in the last 6 months. ASF Audit Integration, automatically updating statuses and passing through information. Client view, some of the great enhancements we've put in there, and verifying bank accounts. I do have plenty more to chat about, but unfortunately I've run out of time and I have to throw it back to Peter.
So you've heard from Andy about what has been happening with Super Concepts, and Reece has shown a number of improvements that have already been made to SuperMate. Now I hear you say, that's all well and good, but how much will this cost me? The basic subscription starts at $11 per fund per month, plus GST, which gives you access to Macquarie Bank data feeds, broker data feeds, registry reconciliation with computer share, link market services and boardroom, Data Hero to read bank statements and create the bank transactions from them, and also the ability to utilise APIs to provide data to your CRMs, which all reduce the manual intervention and hence the time you need to provide outstanding service to your clients. Not only that, but for just an additional $4.75 a month, you can get all of this as well as data feeds from over 100 other banks and financial services institutions. In addition, once you subscribe to SuperMate, you become part of the Super Concepts family and as such have access to our SMSF education services. So if you need any further information or would like to investigate how SuperMate could make your life and the life of your SMSF clients easier, please contact me via the details on the screen. So now it's over to you. Is there anything you would like clarification on what we have discussed today? So remember to click onto the Q&A at the top of your Teams and submit your questions into the chat. So we'll have a look at the ones that have already been, if there's any already been submitted. And okay, so we have, who will receive the queries notice? So I'm assuming this relates to the client view and queries that are raised. If some of the queries to the clients and some to advisors, and how can that be set up? So I guess this is one for you, Reece. Get you to unmute yourself before you respond. Okay, so the queries will go to anyone who's been set up to utilise to receive queries through ViewSuper or through ViewSuper. The notifications will also be, there'll be one notification and also go through to everyone. So in that instance, I believe that the best plan of attack is the ones that are appropriate to the advisors will be responded to by the advisor, and the ones that are appropriate to the clients along the lines of, can you provide us documents in relation to a specific transaction, will be ones that the clients can respond to.
So I might just jump in here, Peter.
Please do.
So Reese just messaged me saying he's having some technical difficulties. So with the queries, the advisor will see all the queries that go to the fund. And at the moment, if a member logs in as well, they will see the queries in there as well. And so what we find is normally the advisors either have a supervisory kind of role where they just want to see what's in flight there and maybe expedite it, or they might be answering and dealing with the client direct, in which case the client wouldn't be logging in onto the portal themselves, and the advisor would be facilitating answers. We are adding a lot more features into this area over this next 6 months, so we'll be expanding the options for the communications here.
Okay, thanks for that, Andy. The next question is there an additional cost for the client view?
No, there's no additional cost to client view. If you're a new SuperMate user, you can use the new client view features, no problem whatsoever. It's all bundled in and part of our standard offering.
Another benefit for using the base subscription. It's fantastic. Is there any migration to switch to the new SuperMate? So if you like, I can take this one, Andy. So
yeah, go for it, Peter.
Given the fact that we're utilising the same back end, so whether you're utilising new SuperMate or classic SuperMate, it's using the same back end. So there's no requirement to migrate from one platform to the other. Transactions that you create in classic will be able to be seen in real time in new SuperMate and vice versa. So whichever one you're utilising, you'll see it in the other in real time. So the benefit of that is there's no lost data that gets missed as you're doing the changeover to the new SuperMate. You can just jump in. For those that are using Classic and would like to have a look at it, in the top left-hand corner of Classic, once you've opened up a fund, there is a little icon that says Open in Web. If you click on that, that will take you directly to your web view, and you can start having a look at how new SuperMate works and can be processed for that fund. Okay. So the next, so with this, how many users can you set up per fund?
So do you want me to take this one, Peter?
Yes, over to you, Andy.
Yeah, so with Client View, you can set up any of the members of the SMSF can be set up with a login. In addition, you can set up an advisor or advisor assistant. So with the advisor assistant type of access, you can actually set that up. They don't technically have to be an assistant. You can use that one as a bit of more of a generic login if you would like. And that's a way if say for example, they've got two advisors that you wanted to give access, you could set one of them up as an advisor assistant, and then that way they can see the details of the fund as well.
Brilliant. Okay, just checking if we have any other questions coming through. No, that seems to be all of it. So I guess so. Thank you all once again for joining. Thank you, Andy.
Thanks, Peter.
And thank you to Reese. Unfortunately, he can't respond. So thank you.
I don't know.
Am
I back?
You're back.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks for handling those questions while I was gone too, mate.
Andy covered you exemplary. So that concludes today. So thank you. So and if you don't forget, if you are interested or would like a demonstration that is more specific to the way your business operates, please get in touch. Thank you all.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Peter.